Hi, welcome back to All Things Paranormal with BCP. I'm Claire,
And I'm Emma.
and we are very excited to have a very, very special guest with us today. Mark, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, hi. My name is Mark Schmidt. I am from upstate New York in the USA.
Excellent. So, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and why we are having this little interview today?
um, well, as you would ask me to come on to speak about some of my past and history, I'm a second generation psychic medium. I have been my whole entire life, and it was something that I never really talked about. Well, actually, I didn't really talk about it with anyone. The only person who really knew was my mom, and that's who I got my abilities from. Now, abilities do run in my family. There's other family members. I'm not at liberty to speak for them. However, I can speak for myself
Yeah,
in saying that it was something that was kind of difficult to have. So I couldn't really talk about it. So I just stayed really quiet.
yeah,
And it wasn't until I don't know, right before I turned 40, I was like, all right, I have to start using my abilities because the forces of nature were just pushing me that way.
yeah. And they're given to you for a reason, I guess, aren't they? You can do so much good with that ability, and I think, yeah, I mean, it's brilliant
Yes.
that you've now sort of had the courage. I mean, because it is incredibly brave to come out and just tell the world this about you, especially there's so many people out there that are just negative, aren't there? And they just want to spread the negativity and they will sort of call you out for it and say, oh, it's a load of nonsense, just talking rubbish. And I think, I mean,
Right.
I personally get that, and I get very frustrated that people can't let you just be you. And, what does it matter to
Right.
them? Is it hurting them? And it's not. And I get really frustrated with that. And I know, Emma, you get quite wound up with that as well, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, we found that from, our paranormal business, people going, oh, why are you doing that? You're just taking people's money and stuff. So we get it. We get it. I think you're
Right.
really brave and you're absolutely brilliant for doing what you do.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
Incredibly brave of you. So have you always been drawn to the paranormal side of things? Well, I know obviously you've explained about your family, but I mean, before, was there, did you sort of do ghost hunts when they came on, local ghost hunts, things like that?
Um, well, I would say, the paranormal were kind of more or less drawn to me.
Yeah.
As I was, mentioning, my mom explained to me when I was little, I guess from when I was an infant to a toddler, I would, throw things off my high chair. I would toss stuff out of my crib. She would leave the room and come back, and that stuff would be either back on the high chair or would be back
Wow.
in the crib.
wow.
And she was like, oh boy. She goes, I wonder. And she pretty soon she realized that I had the same gift she did.
Yeah.
And as I got older, I started seeing things, I started hearing things. And when I would talk to her about it, she would say, I know what you're going through. You can't discuss it.
Yeah.
And I remember in mornings before I would get on the school bus, me and her, we would talk. We'd have conversations. We wouldn't move our mouths. It was kind of like The Shining, which was
Yeah.
so funny because when I saw it, I was like, "Oh my god!" I'm like
Yeah.
David Torrance.
Mm.
Uh, but with that, she said, "You can't tell anyone." I mean, this was the early 1980s.
Yeah.
Now, just to back up a little bit, my mother had epilepsy all her life, so she wasn't accepted a lot because of having a disability at that time. So she was always afraid that combined with if I was going around saying I'm hearing spirits, I'm seeing things, she was afraid that, they would take me away from her and my family. So she said, you cannot tell the world what you are. You just can't.
Wow.
So
How
Yeah.
did you manage to hide it for 40 years? Obviously, you've got these amazing abilities. Hiding it must have been really difficult.
it was, yeah, very, very difficult. In fact, even my ex-wife had no idea. I actually, I told her just recently. It was one of those things that growing up, I would be in school, I would see things, I'd be on the playground during recess, and I would see these figures only for a few seconds because they don't manifest very long. I know in movies people think like ghosts are there for a long time, and they're really not. They take so much energy, they can't stay that long. So
Yeah.
they would quickly appear and disappear. And I knew I'm like, I don't think these things are supposed to be here. but constantly I was interrupted in school, and they thought that I had attention problems and learning disabilities, and it had nothing to do with that. It was because I couldn't focus on what I was supposed to do because I constantly was being interrupted. So with that, the more I explained to my mother about what was going on, she's like, I understand, I'll try to help you, but you can't tell anyone.
Yeah.
And as I got older and the way I saw people treated others, I'm like, yeah, there's no way I'm going to say anything. Like, I'll be picked on. Like, I'll be torn apart if I said that. So,
No.
yeah, all through middle school, all through high school, like dating, being in bands, everything, not a word. I wouldn't say a word to anybody.
That must have been so difficult, though.
It
Really.
was. Yeah, it was very difficult.
Yeah. I mean, with me, I didn't speak to my parents about it. My parents were very, very, oh, I can't think of the right word. Normal. I don't know if that makes sense. They didn't believe in anything that wasn't black and white in front of them. And I did tell them about an incident that happened once. I was probably 12, something like that. And so basically my grandfather had passed away. But I knew about it the night before. So at night, it actually come to me and told me and said goodbye, basically. And I'd gone down the stairs the next morning and said, oh, Granddad come to say goodbye. And I said, but, I said it was in the toilet. He was in the toilet. And they looked at me like I was a bit weird, and that was pretty much it. Later on in the day, then they got a phone call just saying that sadly he passed away in the toilet. Basically, that's how they found him. But they never sort of reverted back to that, and they never wanted to. It was all kind of pushed to the side, and it's actually literally only been since we've been working together that I've even sort of said anything to anyone, really, isn't it? It's, so, I understand how hard it is for you.
So you said something and they kind of just brushed it aside.
Auditory, auditory for me. But yeah, no one really talked to me. I didn't talk to them. My husband knew that I was into spiritual things all around. No sort of preference, just anything paranormal.
Right.
But yeah, I didn't really talk to anyone until you and I, Emma, started actually just sort of going out together.
Well, you wouldn't tell.
Is it?
I think that's the thing with the paranormal, isn't it? Like, you get either people are intrigued and they want to know more, they want to ask questions, or they just don't want to know, they think you're mad. It's one or the other. I've never had anyone sort of, in the middle there. It's one reaction or the other.
Right.
And I think not just oh no, carry on.
Okay. Now I was gonna say, I mean, it was funny because I was in high school in the 90s, and I remember Marilyn Manson was huge, and I mean, I was in metal bands and things like that, but I pretty much wore like polo shirts and khakis, and I was just kind of like, I was just hanging back, and all of a sudden I would have like kids come up to me, and they'd have the black eyeliner, and they would be in like all these like fishnets, and they'd be like, I can see into your soul, I can hear your thoughts. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, you can you? It's just funny. So
it must be a real relief for you to finally be able to help people, though, and to do what you do. And am I right in thinking that you've just actually set up a business for that exact purpose?
I did. Yes. So me and my spouse, Faye, we just started a business. It's called KS&Third, and it stands for her maiden name, my last name, and we met on 3rd Street. So we just put that all together. So, everyone does the romantic thing, right? Yeah.
If two girls, it's gonna happen.
So the website, and actually here, I'll hold up the business card just because,
fantastic.
Everybody likes to see that, So it's like it's KS&Third.com. So KSTHIRD.com. I'm sure you'll have some kind of bubble thing pop up.
We will indeed.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a newer business, and the the response has been pretty decent. The people I've read for have been very happy, which I'm thrilled. I'm glad that people are enjoying the service they're getting. when I announced the business, it was kind of my way of fully announcing to the world what I was. And I had a mixed bag of responses. I had people who I never expected reach out to me and say, "That's awesome. I'm so proud. I support you." And I had, some family and some people who are really close to me say, "I don't think I can talk to you anymore."
Oh,
Like I
wow.
did. Yeah. Yeah. People, their religious sensibilities were really offended. They're like, "I thought like you were Christian. I thought you were a good person." And apparently I was wrong. And I'm like, I am a good person. I'm still the same person you've always known. Like, I think the worst thing I ever did was maybe take someone's lunch money out of their backpack in fourth grade or something. I'm like, but I'm not a bad person, but I don't get offended by it. I understand where people come from. If they don't understand it and the way movies and everything is out there, it paints such a dark picture of it that I can understand where someone's like, I don't think I can like hang with you. I don't think I want to be around you because I don't know what you're going to bring to the table. I don't know what you're going to do to me. So
I think that's
really it's their loss.
I think that's a major problem we have in the paranormal kind of industry, because people watch the movies, they see the TV shows, and they get this view of it, and it's not like that at all.
No, it's not.
Like we had that problem when we were running ghost hunts. We'd stand up at the beginning and we'd say to people, forget what you've seen on all the TV shows, forget what you've seen in the movies. It's going to be nothing like that. And we either had people go, okay, that's fine, or some people, you'd see the disappointment on their face, like, yeah, this is going to be boring.
Right.
It's just, Hollywood's ruined it for us, really.
Well, it has. And honestly, I think a lot of the TV shows have done a grave injustice, because I've done a few, residential disturbances where they did have genuine hauntings. And I think they were expecting like a film crew, and they were expecting me in like an Ed Hardy t-shirt, all muscular, like screaming, like, I want to know who the spirit is right now. And that's disrespectful. That's not what you're supposed to do. I mean, if a spirit's there, they're there for a reason. And if you come at them combative, that's not going to be good. So you have to approach the situation with, why is the spirit here? What's going on with them? They obviously have a story. So if you're gentle with that, I've never had an issue with a spirit communicating with me like, hey, this is what's going on. But if you go in there all pumped up, acting like an action movie, then you're going to have serious problems. So I really wish people would like be educated on that and not enter a situation that way. It's not good.
No, I totally agree with you on that one. We've had the same, haven't we? Where people just like, I'm not going to name any names, I'll get sued, but there are TV shows out there which every place you go, it's a demon, it's a portal, and you get all this, and you're like, why is it that every place you go to, you just find these demons in these portals? Now, I'm very much a person that I'm not sure. I'm not going to say I don't believe, but I'm not sure what I believe. But I tend to not believe in demons, because I feel it's more a case of, if you are a bad person in life, chances are you're a bad person in the afterlife. So if you've got people, or if you've got spirits or haunting where it seems more not aggressive, just perhaps unpleasant, chances are this is going to be a soul of somebody who was that way in life. And I mean, that's just my opinion. Obviously everyone has a different opinion of it. But as you say, TV shows, movies, they always seem to associate psychic mediumship with Ouija boards, with anything satanic, don't they? And like you say, it does such a great disservice to what you do, and it's difficult to get around. But on a lighter note, just to bring a bit more levity to the situation, what is your favorite horror movie? Do you have one?
I think one of my favorite ones is, and a lot of people like do a double take, I like Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. And a lot of people are like, that's not a true Halloween movie. I'm like, well, all right, maybe because it doesn't have Michael Myers, but as far as I'm concerned, I think story wise, I think it's a great story. And I thought the acting was good, and it was cheesy as 80s go, and I love it. So
Oh, absolutely. I loved it. I mean, some of my favorite films are the original Nightmare on Elm Street films, and I just think that Robert Englund camped up the character so much that it just made it fun to watch. And I know you watch it and it's corny as the 4th of July, it is absolutely shocking, but it's still entertaining, isn't it? But personally, the sort of horror films I'm into, I like the Ju-on, like the Japanese horror, because I think they just do it so well. So like the original
Yeah.
the original Ring, because they know how to do horror, don't they? I think.
Yeah,
But,
they're more like psychological and less like
yeah,
visual and
yeah.
in your
I don't
face.
do gore. I don't like, gore for the sake of it.
Right.
Psychology, if I can't say that word, psychological, yeah, thrillers. They are
Psychological.
the best, yeah, because it's
Yeah.
something you can get into. It's not, blood and guts everywhere every 5 minutes, and
Right. Yeah.
really, really brings you in.
Exactly.
Before lockdown, Emma and I were going through a phase of Emma would come to my house and we'd have a Stephen King sort of moment, or a house.
Oh,
What was
yeah.
the program?
Haunting of Hill House,
Haunting of Hill
we're a little bit obsessed with.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah,
is
that's a good one.
like eat junk food and watch those films and those TV shows and just have fun.
Yeah.
But you had a question, didn't you, Emma?
I do.
You did.
I do. I've got loads of questions. So obviously you mentioned earlier about the reactions and obstacles you came across. Was there anyone that was really like, did it hurt, having these people say these horrible things? Did it make you think, oh, maybe I've done the wrong thing coming out, or did you just, accept it?
Yeah. There was some moments where I did a double take where I'm like, perhaps I should have just not said anything. Maybe I should have just stayed in hiding like I had for almost 40 years. But then, my mentors reminded me that, look, you have this gift and you need to use this gift, and you're bringing a lot of good to a lot of people, regardless if anyone believes in it or not. How you make somebody feel is what matters. And if they feel good with what you do and you feel good, that's what's important. And they said it's normal when people find out, they either accept you or they don't. And they said sometimes when people, if they're not going to accept you, you have to let them go.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it is painful, and I understand where people come from. Again, I'm not going to hold grudges for it. I'm not going to be angry about it. If that's their decision, then, it's their loss. So I'm just going to move on, and there's always new people to meet.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what advice would you give to either your younger self or anybody who's in your position that has this ability and they want to come out to their family, but they're feeling a bit nervous, a bit, terrified of what people are going to say? What
Right.
advice would
Right.
you give them?
I would say the best advice I would give anyone is that if you feel like you're experiencing anything like this, be open and talk about it. And that's the big thing. I think the main reason why I never talked about it when I was a kid, and I understand, to my mom's credit, that especially in the early 1980s, it wasn't accepted. They're just, I had MRIs and CAT scans and all this other stuff, and they found nothing wrong because they thought I had, even thought I had epilepsy like my mother, which I didn't. And they thought I had some type of learning disability, which really I didn't, again, but I couldn't be open with, oh yeah, like the movies of Sixth Sense, I see dead people, just that wouldn't apply back then. So, but I think now in this day and age, I think there's a lot more openness and there's a lot more understanding of every single one of us has abilities. We all do. Whether people try to deny it or not, you do. Whether you have that feeling in your stomach, or you're like, I'm not so sure I should get in this cab, or I'm not so sure this is the right person I should be around. You got to trust those senses because we all have them. It's just how much you tune yourself into them. So I would say definitely believe in those. And if you're coming from a place where you really feel you have this stuff, talk about it. Talk with your family. Say, I want to explore this more. I want to talk to people in the community. Talk to other psychics, even talk to mental health professionals and say, I know I'm not crazy. I know what I'm feeling, but I want to talk about this. It's important. So yeah, definitely talk about it.
Yeah, I think that's really great advice. And I agree totally, with what you're saying there about, and I think I've said it before, in groups and things, that, you don't think you've got any ability, but you walk into a house when you're sort of viewing a property, you might want to rent it, you might want to buy it, you walk in and you'll get that feeling like, no, this isn't for me. But you don't know what that is. And yeah, I think I've said that a lot, and you get a lot of people that suddenly go, hang on, you're right, yeah, I do get that, and I do have that. And I said, and there's the sense that you're being watched. You know, everyone at some point has said, oh, I've got feel like someone's watching me. And then you just dismiss it, when perhaps you shouldn't dismiss it. Perhaps you should just sit back and kind of relax and open up to that a bit. And you know,
Right.
I think that's quite important. But anyway, we've been planning for a long time, and unfortunately the horrific pandemic that's going on at the moment has stopped any plans that a lot of people have got. But when we can, we are planning on coming stateside and doing
Nice.
some investigations, having a little bit of a spook around. And would you be interested in coming along to any of those? Maybe
Yeah,
help out?
absolutely.
Brilliant. It would be great to have you. Be really, interesting to see who pinged off of who and what happened. So I think that'd be really good fun. That's really,
It would be,
when we
definitely.
can. It might, I might be 90 and, have a have a purple rinse or no hair at all, but we'll get there eventually.
We will. We've got the vaccine now, so hopefully it won't be much longer, and we'll be out there again and just doing what we do best. And in the meantime, we're having weekly Zoom calls where we invite people along, just to talk about the paranormal, if they want to talk about experiences or anything like that. So we'd love to invite you to one of those as well, and give you a chance to tell people your story, because you've got such a brilliant story.
Yeah.
Oh, thank
It's
you.
really inspiring as well. I think that's what people are going to read into with it. And I think when people watch this back, they're going to just realize what an inspiring story it is. And that might get people to actually sit back and have a think, and maybe themselves go to someone, a loved one, a friend, and sort of discuss it. So I think it's a really amazing thing you're doing.
It is, and it's one of those things, people will look at it, and not just people that have abilities, for anything that they're hiding, that they want to tell their families. You're living proof that you can do it and come out the other side, and you seem really happy. Do you feel like you're happier now that everybody knows that you're?
As much as painful as it's been to lose some people, this is where I've needed to be, and this is who I really am. And for years I lied about it and kept trying to force a life that wasn't me. And no matter what, it kept pushing me right back to where I am now. And once I accepted it, I'm like, all right, I have found true happiness. So
that's really good to hear.
I'm doing good.
No, that is really inspiring.
You've got a lovely family that support you, which is also awesome. Anyway, I'm definitely going to be taking a look at KS&Third's
Me too.
website after this.
Thank you.
So yeah, you might get some pings and be like,
that'd be great.
It's been really brilliant talking to you. Thank you so much for coming on. It's been really, it's an eye-opener. It's been really good. So thank you so much for your time.
Well, thank you for having me, and I look forward to getting over there whenever all this stuff cleans up. So
great to have you.
Absolutely love that. There's a spare room for you and Faye if ever you want to come over and do some investigating of the UK.
Absolutely, you got it.
Okay, so do you want to end the thingy there? End the thingy. See, so articulate, aren't I? You want to press stop? Is what I was trying.